Hi everyone. I would like to welcome you to today's presentation, Accelerating Digital Transformation with Low-Code Platforms. Let me introduce myself. I am Mohamed Omar, President of Ultimus Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia. We all know that digital is transforming today's business landscape. So we have invited Forrester Research to guide us through a three-part exploration of the topic. If you remember, in our first webinar, Forrester BBM analyst Clay Richardson discussed how traditional tools like BBM were struggling in the digital era and were being overtaken by low-code development platforms. We described a very different approach to low-code software development, which is Ultimus Composed Process Solutions. And we showed how generating software from business requirements provides industrial era improvements in software delivery time, quality, and cost. By way of background, Ultimus has a long history of innovation. We introduced the first BBM suite over 20 years ago, as some of you may know. We also introduced the concept of an organization chart for more advanced work routing. Later on, we introduced and patented rule-based workflow routing that is the foundation of dynamic case management and ad hoc processes. And we also introduced Ultimus Advanced Task Service, UATS, the only technology that addresses the challenges of operating processes solutions in production on a large scale. Our latest innovation, CPS, may be our most revolutionary to date, but before we get into that, let me introduce two very impressive and qualified individuals that will continue with us on this journey to digital transformation. We are very pleased to be joined today by John R. Rymer, Vice President and Principal Analyst with Forrester Research, and Nasir Hussain, Business Process Manager and Group Solutions Risk Specialist with National Bank of Abu Dhabi, one of the leading and largest banks in the UAE, Gulf, and North Africa. Let me please begin by introducing our first guest. He leads Forrester's coverage of low-code and public cloud platforms and has become a true thought leader during his 20 years as an industry analyst. He has also held positions with Iona Technology, Upstream Consulting, Fleischerman Hillard, and Patricia Siebold Group. It is my sincere honor to introduce John R. Rymer, and to you, John, to start your part.
My goal here is to provide everyone with the context for this, for what is actually a very significant movement in application development and delivery, which we call the advent of low-code platforms. And you know, in our work with clients here at Forrester, we find that every client in some way is pursuing what's called digital transformation, a digital transformation strategy, and those efforts require an enormous amount of new software. They also require very flexible software like we've never seen before. And low-code platforms have become a key tool in meeting this challenge because it is quite a challenge. So let's jump into my view. I like to start with this quote from Eric Pearson, who's the CIO, as you can see, at a major international hotel group. I think this really sort of sums up the challenge that we all face. At one time, larger companies had huge advantages over smaller companies in the market. They could basically use their size and their scope as the key to their competitiveness. And that really has changed in the era of digital and in the era of digital, speed and responsiveness and ability to act quickly on opportunities and threats is really more important than size and scope. And so, you know, there are lots and lots of stories in every industry grouping of upstart companies that use technology. They're not very big, but they basically disrupt the larger players in the market, and we see this in retail, we see this in airlines, we see it obviously in transportation, financial services, you name it. It is pervasive. So the challenge in transforming to digital is to achieve responsiveness. Transforming to a digital business, first and foremost, demands velocity in software delivery. Every digital business is software. Software is digital business. There's no boundary anymore between the technology and the business actions and the business structures. And so one of the characteristics of business in the digital age is it changes very, very quickly and unpredictably. And so that means that if digital business is software, the software must be able to change very, very quickly. In fact, at unprecedented rates. This is a chart that we used to show that essentially we have been on a long journey since the 60s, the dawn of time, maybe perhaps for some of you, that has taken us from software delivery times of multiple years now down to hours when it's necessary. I mean, literally hours. Now, you know, there are certain constraints on that, but essentially what we've been working towards is delivery of software when the business needs it to be delivered, and that's period, full stop. And so moving to a digital business strategy, transforming to digital business, is all about enabling this kind of responsiveness because the economy and customers demand this of us. We have no choice. So I want to start with what do we mean by digital business, and what are companies transforming to when they say we're doing a digital transformation? I go back, in thinking about this, I go back to a book that was written years ago by Nicholas Negroponte at MIT, and he wrote his book around the time that around the heyday of Napster in the 90s, and he made this key insight in this book that when you transform physical assets, you know, from an analog form, from a physical or an analog form to bits, everything changes. And of course, transforming to bits means you're making those assets digital. You're either creating a representation of a physical asset in software as bits, or in the case of media, for example, or information, you're actually transforming it from paper to files, to digital files. Once that asset is in a digital form, you can do so much with that asset that you can't do with it when you are when it is in an analog or a physical form. You can transform it from one format to another. You can move it across the globe at incredible speeds. I mean, you know, in seconds, rather than sticking a document in a FedEx folder and taking a day to get it across the globe. And so I go back to this is the key idea. And digital business then is the transformation of business processes, business assets, business organizations from physical and analog forms to digital. That's what people are trying to do. And the reason they're doing it is for responsiveness. Once those processes, assets, organizations are expressed in digital form, they can be modified, they can change and morph as needed, far faster than they can if they're in a physical or an analog form. So I've given an example here in this slide of a traditional company that makes and sells products through retailers, and I've just highlighted through the phases going from raw materials to actual serving the customer. you know, the kinds of assets and processes and so forth that people are transforming into software, into a digital form. So we see a lot of, I'll just highlight a few, digital experiences. That's what the whole mobile app phenomenon has been about, and that is still there's still an awful lot of value, and there's still an awful lot of intelligence that we can add to, that we can and we are adding to digital experiences, because those experiences are in software. It's no longer just a physical store or a salesperson sitting in your office. The whole experience is become digitized. That enables things like individualized context. We actually are at the point now where companies are servicing and selling individuals, not just segments, individuals. Self-service, huge movement to enable self-service. Why? Let customers help themselves. It's faster, it's more personalized, it's more relevant to what they're trying to achieve their goals. And because we're exposing the experience of dealing with us, our products, our services as digital assets, that is possible. Self-service is possible. Moving on back, things like processes like onboarding. There's a huge wave of new onboarding applications. Why? Get people in. If we get a customer, engage with that customer quickly. Get them on board quickly and easily. With no muss, no fuss. Start to convey value to them really, really quickly. We find digital inventory now, where inventory inventory can be moved very, very quickly or measured very, very quickly in real time, and that's because it's expressed in a digital form. In some cases, of course, products are themselves digital, informational-based products like in financial services, and so inventory then in a digital form is a very natural thing. And other aspects here is sourcing processes, making those processes self-service and digitizing them gives you a great deal of flexibility in who you source from, how you source, where you source in the world, pitting suppliers against one another, etc. So what I'm trying to convey here is that, what I hope I'm conveying here is that this is a big deal. This is a fundamental change in business that requires us to think about software as being one with the business, and think of therefore about the way we deliver that software very, very differently than we have in the past. So we have to think about, as software professionals, we have to now think about the way we provide software very, very differently. And we at Forrester advocate 4 principles you'll see on the left-hand side of the slide, just for everyone involved in the delivery of technology in enterprises. And then we further refine that for application development and delivery professionals. That's what AD&D means. Now we start with, our strategies are centered on winning, serving, and retaining customers. That's the center point. And everything we do is prioritized to achieve that goal. Now, for app dev and delivery, there's 4 key strategies that we advocate. One is rebalance your software efforts to emphasize applications to win, serve, and retain customers. Whoever those customers are, whether they're B2B customers or consumers or citizens or students or patients, whoever they are. And we call that portfolio of applications customer ecosystems apps, because those apps address not only the customer experience, but the operational realities behind that customer experience. Supply chain, internal processes, compliance and audit, etc. Second, prioritize customer insights. Applications that create customer insights put us in a position to understand our customers as individuals and to serve them then in relevant, immediate, personalized ways. and to understand how their needs and their tastes and their desires are in fact evolving over time. Crucial for us to understand this in a world where customers have so much power and so many choices. Third, industrialize software and service delivery. Why industrialize? Industrialize means automate. It means routinize. It means all in the goal of speeding the delivery of software, and to put us in a position to respond to opportunities and challenges. So software delivery moves from being pure craft to being craft plus, on an industrialized base. Lastly, we have to change our organizational structures, and this is starting to happen. We're starting to see this among clients. We need a new role called the product manager. Product managers is a role that's been used in independent software vendors for many years. It's a much better method, a much better role to have to understand requirements and translate those requirements to software project plans than our traditional role using business analyst. And then lastly, modern financial governance is much more flexible than traditional annual or quarterly budgeting. I'll just leave it at that. Big changes, cross-cutting changes. Each one of these moves, each one of these strategies, very, very significant changes to the way we deliver software. And again, it's all in the goal of speed. So, how do we actually translate this then into a set of actions that app dev and delivery pros can adopt to achieve these strategies? Number one is we start by recognizing that as application development and delivery pros, we actually deliver software using four major methods, four major approaches. And one of those approaches, only one of those approaches, is building software end to end. That's what we call the doing approach. There are also three others that actually should be rising in importance. One next to doing is enabling, and this is where low-code platforms this is one of the areas where low-code platforms can really shine, in that we are going to enable people other than professional coders to build, deliver, and configure software or configure software. We see this. We see an expansion of the labor pool because there's so much software to be delivered that is possible if we change the platforms and introduce low-code platforms in addition to whatever coding we decide to do. In addition to that, there is the top of this diagram. Brokering refers to, we don't build software, we find software on the open market, or we find a provider who can deliver that software for us quickly and efficiently. Why? Perhaps that software is not crucial to our differentiation in the market. It's just something we need to do. So we buy it or contract for it rather than build it ourselves. Another reason people go to brokering and producing and directing is because they can get the solution faster if they don't build it themselves, if they go outside and get the software that they need. So these four approaches really have to become the center of how we think about our roles in life and the value that we provide. We cannot develop everything end to end using coding. It's just impossible. There's too much to do. We've got to balance this set of delivery methods. And the irony here is that we're going to actually develop less of the time, custom develop less of the time, but we're also going to deliver much more software because we're going to have a much more balanced approach. So part of your thinking about your group, your app dev group, and your app dev organization, your app delivery organizations, is what is our mix of these four approaches? Is the mix out of balance with what we really need. For example, if you've got a huge backlog of projects and your coders are working nights and weekends and completely overloaded, you probably need to shift some of that demand into the other approaches, whether it's brokering or a low code enabling approach or contracting outside, or some perhaps even some combination. This slide shows how you might rebalance that mix over time, and again, all in the interest of serving the customer and being responsive. Certainly, we find a lot of folks that underplay the brokering role and the enabling role. The enabling role the enabling method is a real winner for a lot of organizations that at this point is they could do a lot more. They can create a lot more value there. So one of the key concepts here is, what is your platform? One of the key decisions is, what is your platform, particularly when you are approaching the enabling method. Companies typically have lots and lots of platforms, and that's not a good thing. Ideally, what you want to do is to move toward one or two platforms, and you want to transition your central IT organization from sort of soup to nuts. We design, deliver, run, the application and all the infrastructure it sits on, to an organization that runs a platform that various teams within the enterprise and even within business units within the enterprise use to deliver the applications that they need. So the central IT function really becomes a service provider to the rest of the organization, to teams working in the rest of the organization. We're finding that in many cases, those teams are actually app dev teams. They have developers on them. They're just decentralized. They work in a business unit because they're more responsive that way. Also, again, pulling in the potential benefits of low code to expand the labor force. Some of those folks working on the platform are in fact business experts, or they're rapid dev experts who don't want to code. They may be developers who prefer declarative development. But the point is that having everyone control their own stack, their own text, their own technology, just doesn't work anymore. There's not enough leverage in that model, and we really need to move to more of a service provider model that allows teams to deliver as they need to, which is what I'm showing in this diagram. We're starting to see some organizations adopt this, thank goodness, because we really believe this is the model for the future. So I've been referring to low code platforms. This is a category that we identified here several years ago, and it's quite an active market because, boy, are these vendors filling a need. Low code speeds application delivery in the 5 ways that I've outlined here. One is to use visual tooling instead of coding. Visual tooling, modeling, mapping tools, diagramming tools, property sheets, et cetera, rather than using those kinds of tools rather than coding, can dramatically raise the speed at which you can deliver software. It really raises productivity by many, many factors. So that's great. The other characteristic that low code platforms have is that they tend to be very easy to begin adopting. I was talking to a client yesterday that started to adopt, that began its adoption of a low-code platform without ever talking to the vendor. They went to the site. There was a free trial available on the site. All the documentation was on that vendor's site, and this person then worked with that product for a time to prove to himself that the product would be valuable and would be useful for their needs, and then contacted the vendor and signed a contract and did all the the terms and conditions and so forth. This is really, really important because one of the characteristics, one of the factors we got to consider when we're moving so fast to deliver software is that we're not taking the time to do detailed requirements and spend all kinds of months and months in meetings. What we're trying to do is get enough of an idea of what we need, enough of an idea of software that will satisfy a need very, very quickly, build that small idea, prove that it works, and then we expand. So it's really learning, it's discovering requirements through learning with actual software delivery that we can see, software packages that we can actually see. So think of it as a living prototype that eventually becomes an application, a full-blown application that goes into production. These two factors in combination are just hugely powerful in this, in meeting this need. Discover true requirements and real value is enabled by these two factors. Other points here, many folks need mobile apps. They need a lot of mobile apps, and the low-code platforms are really good at generating mobile apps from web apps. So you develop one app, and you can do a mobile version very, very quickly. It's like flipping a switch. Then lastly, I've mentioned, empower developers you can find and afford. You don't have to have rocket scientists with low code. You can have folks that are middle of the road, but they're like heroes with low code. They can do be so much more productive, do so much more work. Plus, you can expand into folks that are business experts, not just developers. Last I want to leave you with is the notion of a common platform supporting a variety of applications, some of which are delivered by vendors, some of which you're building yourself, some of which your business experts are building. That common platform becomes this enormous well of value. The data that is being managed by these applications all goes in that platform, and you can leverage those data sets for additional projects. If you build an approval workflow, well, that's a template that every time you need an approval, you can start with that template and then hasten the delivery of additional applications. You can integrate data from different that's being managed by different applications much more readily. You can maintain applications much more readily because the assets and the data are all there in the common platform. This is so powerful and such a powerful benefit as you pursue this approach. And again, if you take a low-code approach, you're going to be building up that base of assets far more quickly than you will if you're using a coding approach alone. So I'll leave you with that thought. We're in very challenging times, but as software professionals, but we have some really, really powerful tools if we put them to use and think about our role in an appropriate way to really provide value to our clients. Next slide. I think we'll close out on some just some basic recommendations. I've mentioned this, the core of your strategy, you're going to be very well served if you make it your customer. We are about winning, serving, retaining customers. That is who we are as software professionals. That's what we do. You will always have funding if that is your goal. I think everyone in our profession needs to decide on the role a low-code platform is going to play in their strategy. I really don't see how we can develop everything we need anymore through just coding. And then further, we need to decide who does the work. Is it going to be professional developers? Is it going to be business experts? Is it going to be both? What's the relationship between those roles? There's some really powerful labor leverage that we can tap into if we play this correctly. We're going to need governance processes, just like any other platform, and just like any other method of delivering applications. As our strategies evolve and as we energize the brokering and producing and directing and the other two approaches, we're going to need to govern them appropriately to make sure we just don't create a mess. That's some additional research that that we're doing here that you can plug into, offline. Favor vendors as you look at vendors here that are operating in this space. Favor the ones that have a track record of sustaining innovation. So look for the vendors that have been able to invest. Their business models are such that they've been able to invest and create new value. So these days we're looking, at one point it was, can they invest and create a reasonable mobile development or mobile delivery environment? Now we're looking at analytics, Internet of Things kinds of applications. Look for those vendors that can really sustain innovation, because they're going to be strategic partners. And then lastly, we haven't talked much about the modern financial governance, but when financial governance is more flexible, you then have more power to optimize it within a quarter or within a month. And those are processes and sort of points of view that you really need to develop within your organization in order to plug into that. But the opportunity certainly is there. Okay, with that, I'll say thank you and hand back over to Mohamed.
Thank you very much, John, for that excellent presentation. So just to recap some of the major points John discussed and talked about, any innovation, change, competitive response requires new or changed software. If we think about a world that moves at the speed of digital, we have to create as well and change software at the speed of digital. And John recommended creating a central resource of digital assets that could be used and reused for success in the digital era. Now let's think about John's thesis and recommendations and how to make them a reality. In our view at Ultimus, achieving what John discussed involves a completely new way of thinking, not just incremental improvements on BBM or today's app development tools. So let's think about software at the speed of digital and this notion of a central resource of digital assets. If this sounds familiar, it is. Think about the car industry. A BMW factory can produce, for example, 10,000 cars a week. Almost no two are the same. They cost $60,000 or so, depending on your country or where you are living, very high quality, and anyone can service them. Now, think about software engineering. We spend months or years producing software, still no two are the same. They cost us hundreds of thousands or even millions. They are buggy and almost no one can support it but the person who actually built it. So what is the difference? The car industry uses industrial principles. Software, on the other hand, is handcrafted. Also, the car industry engineers produce families with common architecture. They don't build single cars. They develop standardized, interchangeable parts, and they are assembled and painted by automatic robots. Software, on the other hand, is hand-built, and everything is different, all unique. Cars are customized, software is custom-built. And we said in our last webinar that our low-code platform, Composed Process Solutions, follows these industrial concepts, whereas it's different than other low-code approaches, which gives people just power saws and nail guns so they can make custom software a little bit faster. Our approach makes software delivery an order of magnitude faster. Here is how the central resource of reusable digital assets, Composed Process Solutions, gives you that. A common architecture is in place, a common solution structure, pre-built solution capabilities and design, even commonly needed content like countries, like industries, like languages. All these things are no longer part of the development life cycle. They are already done. And taking another page from the industrial production, CPS puts all of these digital assets in a common place and in a common form. and gives them built-in intelligence so they can automatically work together. CPS takes it further and even puts all solution data and customer content into this common place. Think of it, for example, as a digital solution ecosystem. It's a very, very powerful concept. It's reuse on a massive scale. Now, let's move to automated robotic assembly. As we said earlier, in our case, we are no longer developing software applications using libraries or components or microservices or so on. That's too slow, it's too complex, and too difficult to manage. Instead, we compose software. That means we refer to digital assets we need, only referring to it, and our application is generated in real time. In fact, we can even compose entire software families in exactly the same way. So for example, the customer lifecycle, we have the code application. After we get the PO, we have the onboarding. After this, we have billing and invoicing, and then support. You can compose entire software families in the same way with others also. Imagine groups of applications with dozens or hundreds of members that automatically and inherently work together and also share data as a unified family. And there is only very little you have to do because almost everything you need is pre-built. It's not only pre-built, it's pre-built to work together. We are not here moving at the speed of digital. We are creating much more powerful software, more powerful that we even cannot imagine any of today's approaches. Let me show you the digital enterprise of the future in action now, one that is powered by Composed Process Solutions. Let me show you how we can build really powerful, great looking, intuitive software in minutes, software that is global, and software that is mobile, and software that works together so you can capture business opportunities like cross-selling, upselling, and also unites your enterprise instead of being a collection of individual products or departments. So we will switch now to a live demo where we will show you CPS in action. And let's start by logging into our CPS portal, currently running in the cloud at a well-known hosting service in Frankfurt, Germany, where I also have my colleague helping us during this demo. So here are all my CPS applications. Let's look at this customer lifecycle folder, where there are two applications, which are the two first applications of a customer lifecycle: customer code, if you want to apply and log a code for approval, and then customer onboarding. This is the first two applications. So in the customer lifecycle, and although this application doesn't really or actually exist yet, we have to build them together now in this live demo. However, as you see, CPS never starts with a blank sheet of paper. What you are seeing now is a common solution structure divided into 6 concerns. We can name these anything you want, but in this case, let's call them customer, which is my first area. This is the area that should have information about a person or a company that we are doing something for. The service, which is the second part, we call it here code. This is the area that should have information about product or service being requested. Documents area, here we deal with all our document handling concerns in our solution or application. Then we have actions with rules, validation, business rules, policies, and the like. And also we have process. This is the flow of work, a process where we describe our business flow, and finally a history of who did what and when. All of this functionality, structure, design is already there. And there are drafts, printing, headers, you name it, it's already done. So now let's check a customer onboarding solution as well. And here it is. Now it's been opened and it's empty, as you can see as well. So let's start composing these two solutions. I will go to Ultimus CPS Composer, where I want to tell CPS which exactly specific assets should be used to generate my application. So using the CPS Composer, as you see now, I will refer to the Ultimus search by customer name and customer account number capability. It's a built-in capability in the system. I just need to refer to it, and it will allow me to see if a particular customer in our system. I will also enable another capability which will show me customer contact details and company details, which in common in any system. So we have this built-in capability. I will just enable it, and next time a user will launch the customer code, the solution will be generated in real time and using my references to these CPS assets. As you can see, it is completely now functional, and CPS digital assets showed me all the data I need out of the box. I can search, for example, for a customer which is precision products that we have in our database. I can see the customer, I can select the one I want, all the data will come. I can use these assets in any other application, it's common. I can see actions where I can see my violations. So for example, I have one violation here, which is the last name is missing. CPS also will help me. Once you click on it, it will direct you to the field that is missing and will guide you to fix it. Imagine if you have a huge form, then it's very easy for user to find. And we did all this in just few seconds. Again, just few seconds. And when we say in the presentation, global software, this because the CPS assets comes already localized. I am in Dubai, for example, so let's switch to Arabic interface. So each participant in the process can select whatever language they want to work with. You can see the header, the menus, everything, but it gets even better. Even if I double click on my application and I select it and it's loaded now and generated in real time, you can even see the form itself in Arabic, even the submenus. Everything we have done is already available in multiple languages. And you get this for free. There is no effort extra available or involved. So let's switch back again to English so other colleagues can follow us during the demo. Now what we need to do in our customer code, we need to create some new CPS digital assets instead of using or referencing to built-in ones. So I want a code subject and I want a short summary of the proposal. So I will go to the area of the code area of my application, and I will start just creating my offer details where I want to have the subject field, I want to have summary, and any other things. Just few keystrokes that I need to do, very few, and it follows a standard pattern. So I can do this I can choose if it's mandatory, editable, and in the sake of time, I will just comment in the rest of the things. I can do it exactly like what we did now for these few fields, and that's it. So also we can easily cut and paste, and these things are impossible to do in a graphical interface tool because it's all hidden and tangled, but here it's very easy. I can also go to my document slots. I can configure that anyone who wants to submit a code for approval, it should have a customer offer and a profit calculation. These are already built-in capabilities in CPS, which I will just refer because we can use it in many solutions. And let's see what will happen the next time a user will launch the customer code process. Now the solution will be generated in real time based on my references to those new CPS digital assets. And the user can now see very powerful, very complete software application. We have added the offer details in the code area. We can see in the documents part. So very complete, which is localized by default and mobile and everything. So let's see it now, how it works on the iPhone 6, for example. Out of the box, the CPS supports any handheld devices, whether it's a Windows phone, it's an Android like Samsung or others, it's an iPhone, iPad, you can use it from any device. You can widen the screen so you have more space. You see exactly everything that we have done, and it's available on the mobile out of the box. Whenever you compose any solution, all have the same functionality. So switching back again to our big screen, let us find the customer, just for example, our precision products customer, and let's quickly submit a code for approval to finish our first application. So we select all the data available. And then in the code area, I will type a subject. So they are asking for a training, a code for training, CPS training. And I will write a small, short summary. And then I choose it's a fixed price or time and material. In our case, it's a training. So we know exactly the number of days, the courses, and I choose also the offer expiration date. Now in documents area, let me upload customer offer, for example. You can drag and drop in this area anything you want, the dotted area. You can select files, and once you upload a file, you can view the file. Lots of functionalities available here for any solution in documents area. You can also comment in, you can verify, you can review, lots of functionalities. For example, if we type any comment specifically to this file, it will also follow a username and date and time stamp. So everything is available for me. In the action part, I can see the violations. So if I choose a field which is mandatory, out of the box, the CPS will see my violations and I can fix it. And then we can submit after fixing this part for approval. So very incredibly powerful, great looking, global, mobile application created that easily and that fast by just applying modern engineering principles to software development. But these same modern engineering principles allows you even to do more. Think about it. Common architecture, as we said, digital assets in a common form and in a common ecosystem. With that, we can now generate software families. So let's go back to our empty customer onboarding application, because it's the next step. When we get the PO, we should board a customer. And look, it's no longer empty. By grouping them now in my composer as a family, as a customer lifecycle family, I grouped both solutions as a family. I saved myself a lot of time. So everything almost like enabled for customer quote is now available for me in a customer onboarding solution. And what I need only to do is to specify the unique requirements of this application. So in the customer area, when I want to board the customer, for example, I want to add billing information. Instead of these 3 sections, I need a 4th one for billing information. In the quote area, for example, I want to understand if there is any open quote with the current customer I selected. And I also want to add, beside offer details, I want to add actual purchase details. In the documents area, also, I have now the offer, customer offer profit calculation. If I want to board the customer, I should be able to upload the actual PO. So let's go back to our composer and see how we can do this specific requirements for this solution. So I will start by the first area by adding the billing information. The billing information is global, so we have already a built-in capability in CPS. Will enable it, and out of the box, we can use it in this solution or any other solution we want. We will go to the second part where I want to add the actual purchase details. If you see the text, we can do it exactly the same way we have done subject and summary. So I'm just prepared it here for the sake of time and enabling it. And if we go to the documents area, we will let us also enable the functionality of having any open quotes with the customer. And in the document area last, we want to add the ability for users to upload the actual PO once we receive it. So once we finish this, let us launch one last time our customer onboarding again and see the solution generated in real time live. And as you see, let's check the section that we added for billing information. Very good. So we have it now. We can type, or I didn't make anything mandatory. In the code area, this is the code that we already have done it together a few minutes ago. So we just select this one. We can also type the actual purchase details. And when we'll choose the PO date as well. And when we go to our documents area, here is a really very cool feature. If you check the customer offer, this is because of CPS master data, The solutions are talking to each other. So I don't have to re-enter anything again, and I don't have to make any integration. My solutions talk to each other. So it's acting as a one bigger solution. So I have all the data, I can view it, I can upload my actual purchase order in order to complete this also cycle of boarding the customer. So I will upload the PO that we received, and we check if we have any violation, and then we submit for approval. But we have one violation here, which is offer is already expired. So we got the PO few days after the offer expiry date. I have the rights to waive this according to an Ultimus rule I invoked, then I just corrected and submit. And this is, in summary, how we can accelerate digital transformation using this Ultimus Composed Process Solution. We do it by following industrial approach and engineering applied to software. We put your entire business in a common standardized digital form, so it can be composed and recomposed to innovate and react in real time. And also, by this, we are eliminating today's application barriers with software by doing and introducing the concept of software families. By this, we are able to solve problems that we can't today. So this concludes our part for the CPS and live demo part. And let me now introduce our third presenter who took some time off from his work as business process manager and group risk solutions specialist with National Bank of Abu Dhabi. National Bank of Abu Dhabi, by the way, is one of the largest banks in the United Arab Emirates, where I am now, in Middle East and also in North Africa region. And Nasir comes with impressive background of 15 years of experience of process modeling, design, and implementing in different verticals. So to provide you with an industry and customer viewpoint on digital transformation and CPS, please welcome with me Nasir Hussain. To you, Nasir.
Thank you, Mohammed. I would like to say thanks to Ultimus for providing me an opportunity to present what we have achieved in National Bank of Abu Dhabi with the composed process solution platforms. My name is Mohamed Nasir Hussain. I'm working as a business process manager, group risk solutions in the National Bank of Abu Dhabi, the safest growing bank in the Middle East and North Africa, and one of the 50th fastest growing bank in the world. So the digital transformation and banking, as the John has mentioned about it literally, so I'll just focus on the banking side only. As you know that the digital disruption is occurring at every level in the banking industry, especially from new technology to new competitions to heightened customer expectations. Banks have become increasingly vulnerable, and it is accelerating the transformation of business activities, processes, and competencies to leverage the opportunities of the digital technologies. The development focus of the new competencies revolves around the capacities to be more agile, people-oriented, innovative, customer-centric, aligned, and efficient. Our organization initial goal was to establish an ability to move faster regarding the changes to quick decision-making and innovations. We believe that the low-code and the interactive platforms can facilitate the environment to achieve these organization goals. National Bank of Abu Dhabi and started the BPM journey in 2010 and 2011 with the implementation of onboarding processes covering initially 3 processes, which is personal loan, overdraft, and car financing process, and later added more business processes like credit card process, the card request, and the account opening processes. In previous experience, I would like to say that in 2013, the processes were documented in our organization, managed, and continuously improved, but our business units were experiencing a pain due to the hard-coded solution. There were some pain points. One of the key was that what we were facing, the business were facing, that many tasks were still performed manually because the tasks were not fully automated and digitized. The processes were not fully integrated with the core and external applications like the central bank integrations and the credit bureau applications. Credit analysts have to access these applications outside the loan origination system, resulting in longer loan processing time, averaging about 10 to 12 days, which were far more than the competitors. At that time, one of the main goal was to create the environment which enables the bank to establish a link with the central bank regulations, their applications, faster decision management than the normal change management process, which was required to compete the market. But all these changes, either minor or major, required to go through the complete change management process, which was time-consuming activities. Minor change or a configuration had to pass through a complete release management or stages like software integration testing, UAT, and then the production. So a minor change was going through a months of implementation from an IT point of view. Right. So when we initially we implemented the Ultimus the loan origination system in the CPS platform, providing which has basically provided the management a very holistic view of the business processes and insight to the actual processing time, turnaround time of each activity. But again, the challenge was the same, that the change management, which was not aligned with the business decisions and local regulations. In 2016, when the Ultimus introduced the CPS platform, providing a low-code platform, we evaluated it and find it as an opportunity to link our processes with the business decisions and external regulators, and to have and to decouple the solutions which currently exist in our environment. The project duration was one of the key things which we find it, that the project duration was only 3 to 4 months, rather than as compared to what we did the first BPM implementation project that took more than 1 year. In CPS platform, we have implemented commercial program lending processes, and within that process, there are 4 products we have implemented. One of the product is the business loan processes, asset-backed finance process, point of sale process, and the credit card request process. The platform provided us one unified onboarding interface of all these products. One customer can submit the request for multiple products with this unified view. For example, if a customer is looking for 2 products, for example, loan process and the commercial credit card process request, then we don't have to initiate a different instances of the processes, and can initiate by enabling the relevant selected product section or area, which is just now has been represented by Mohammed. So the application can be initiated from any sourcing channel right now, due to the compatibility and the support from the latest CPS clients. We can launch the application from branch, desktop machines, kiosks, internet, and mobile applications. One of the key benefits which we were looking at that time was the business rules were totally coupled together with the processes. Now with this CPS platform, the business rules are managed outside the process and are immediately updated in the system without any delay. There are no more hard-coded solutions in the process. So previously what happened, that what we were facing the problem that whenever there was a change in the process, the business was sending it to the IT. IT was taking their times. They're going through the complete change management process. By the time the what can you call it, the new requirements has to come, by the time the IT was providing the solution, so the business were coming up with the new requirements. So that was creating a longer time durations, and the we can say the interaction between the 2 units, business and IT. So with this, we this is what actually, so one of the 2 screens I will show you which we have implemented in our solution and our organizations. One of the key benefit which we have find in the composite CPS platform is the requester information. Here you can see the requester information is there. We can search the customer easily. That is linked with our core banking application. Now we can see that the customer information, facilities, direct debit authority, these are some key information which is associated with the customer directly. Now we don't have to develop these applications, these interfaces again. This is some sort of reusability which we find it in the CPS platform. Now we don't have to create a separate information dashboards or object for those requests. If I go to the second slide, where I can see that this is the service which we have implemented. The service area, we can see that the business loan, one of the option for the product is business loan, point of sale, asset-backed finance, and commercial credit card. Now we can easily add more products as soon as the business will decide to launch a new product. So that will be quite easy. So as soon as I will select the business loan process over here, it will enable the business loan section for me, so that I know that there are some common areas, which is like financials, scorecards, there are some AD details, credit shield information. But these two sections, like point of sale loan details and the business loan details, they are dependent on the option which is selected as a service which the customer is requesting for. So that's what exactly we have implemented. And these business and these processes, they have rules. As just I mentioned, that each business has a rule, associated rules and policy associated with it. Now, whenever there is a change in the policy and the rules, for example, just to give you an example, like eligibility criteria of a customer of any product policy parameters like age, minimum and maximum credit limit, business durations, that can be changed as soon as they are approved by the product management. They don't have to go back to an IT for a change management. This was the previously pain we were facing when we had a hard-coded solution, that a minor change, for example, the minimum and maximum credit limit needs to be changed. It has to go through the change management process, taking almost months or even sometimes more. So what happens now, that this control has been given to the business analyst. The business can make changes into their business configuration changes. These type of changes where we have to change only the digits and the numbers. These are the two just examples which I have given. So what's some of the benefits which we have achieved from sorry, I would just like to have the slide, which is the last slide for me. Right. Yeah, achieve benefits. So some of the benefits which we achieved, that with Ultimus CPS approach, we have processes now in families that make it easy to manage, and more importantly, enable cross-selling of products smoothly from customer experience standpoint and easily from the technology perspective. So the one of the benefit which we have achieved so far is they reduce the process turnaround time, which was previously 10 to 12 days. Now it's moved to 2 to 3 days. The changes are now more agile with control over the business decisions. Business have control over it. They can make their configuration and their parametric changes easily. Reusability and integration with the third-party applications processes are integrated with core banking system, card management system, email and SMS gateways, and the archiving systems. Now this current one module business application is already integrated with multiple external applications, and it is retrieving information from there and showing it in one consolidated view. So this view is now available. We can reuse it in whenever new product is launched. So we don't have to do an investment and development on it. So this has reduced. It has reduced the application development times from months to days, and it has provided the ability to roll out the changes and upgrades to the production environment in a seamless manner. So now business analysts, they are in control, especially the product policies and configurations. Business can take a lead for the configurational changes. CPS platform has enhanced the collaboration between IT and a business, and also we are now planning to global rollout our products to our different regions in this current Middle East and North Africa. So after the successful, this is my last the slide. So after the successful year in 2016, we are continuing our journey in 2017 and are planning to further improve our business processes with the addition of more processes and products in the CPS platforms. Thank you very much, and over to you, Mohammed.
Thank you very much, Nasir. So we are sorry that we have taken a few minutes more than we planned, but at the end, let me just give you quick 5 points. So first, I would like to thank John a lot for describing the new application development and delivery requirements, goals, and strategies to realize digital transformation. And thank you very much, Nasir, as well, for putting this in the context of a bank competing in the digital era we are in now. Second, regarding CPS, I realize there was a lot to take in. industrialized software engineering and composing software families is entirely a new paradigm and one with enormous advantages, as we have to. Number 3, I encourage you all that the best way to understand all this is to see CPS in action in your business and your organization. Let us create your own CPS solution. It's very fast that we can do it for free. You only pay for it if you decide to put it in production. CPS will open a new frontier for business software. We are really proud of it and honored by the fantastic customer feedback we have gotten. And number 4, I would like also, if you would like to see this webinar again, or you missed some parts, then, or the first webinar in the series that we had, please go to Ultimus videos and webinars on ultimus.com and join us in our next webinar in April so we can show you the full power of the digital enterprise powered by Ultimus Composed Process Solutions. And finally, we plan to have some questions and answers, but due to the time, we don't want to take more time from you, so we will be sending all the answers for the question we received by email. Thank you once again, and have a great day.